Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's the AI Conclave 2025, our first session. Let's talk about building the future workforce, practical AI for HR professionals. So for all the ones who are seeking this knowledge, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us the CHRO at Mahindra First Choice Wheels, who's going to be joining us, who leads all the HR functions aligning the HR strategy with the business growth. He's somebody who brings the extensive expertise in talent management, organizational development, and of course, HR technology. Previously, he led HR initiatives for the Mahindra automotive and tractor business, wherein thereby he implemented some of their landmark programs in capability building and cultural transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, let's welcome on stage Mr. Shivin Tikku.
So thank you so much for having me here, and thank you for the kind introduction. Always a pleasure to come for N-Cube collaboration. It's fantastic how Dr. Meher Badi has this vision of taking India and Bharat forward. And in that, if we are able to contribute to whatever extent, it is always our privilege. First of all, a few disclaimers. I'm not an AI expert. What I can do is I can share certain experiences which have over the entire career of HR platform technology. The second disclaimer, of course, is that these are my personal experiences and my opinions and not really representative of the organization. Having said that, since it's a very opportune moment, so let's have it a very engaging dialogue. So what I'll plan to do is in the next, say, 15 minutes, I'll just quickly run you through the slides. And if there are certain questions, clarifications, thought process, so please feel free to interject, please feel free to provide your thoughts. And as I said, this is always a learning platform, so it is a two-way street and rather than just slides from my end. So just to introduce what Mahindra First Choice does as a business. So we work what is in the enterprise B2B services, and then there is a B2C and a digital platform. Since I know that some of you are from finance background, so we focus on the entire used vehicle auctions. We have a platform which is called Inspections, which we look at the entire inspecting of a used car or a repossessed vehicle. We look at yard management, which is storage of these vehicles in a yard, and then we do the auctioning. And on the B2C side, which is the retail, we obviously work with the parent, which is Mahindra Automotive, and we have Car and Bike Select as Car and Bike Pre-Owned as our stores, as well as we have a Car and Bike platform, which is a auto content website. Now, coming to the HR issue. So when I had taken over this role about 2.5 years back, the biggest challenge was not implementing of HR technology or AI. The biggest challenge was how do you transform the existing people function. So earlier we had areas of HR operations, payroll, admin, recruitment, but not really what is called HR business partners. Some of you who have been in the organizations would know that there is entire partnering workforce, which is where the person, the HR business partner, works with the business head to understand the people challenges. Whereas we had more of a functional approach. And that's where we decided that we have to pivot to a new structure, which is having HR business partners. Second is having center of expertise. And third is having shared services. Now, to do this, we require technology because you can have the right structure, but without the processes and the platform to do it, it is not possible. So therein we wanted to partner with a technology platform, and I'll come to that later. So first point is that the AI or technology is a catalyst. It is not in mean itself, in the sense it cannot be a standalone or it cannot be an independent. It has to be interwoven in your business model or business processes. So similarly to us, if we had pivoted to the new operating model, but without having the HR platform, it would not have been the case. So the challenges were manifold. So we had an existing operating or existing HR platform. It was broken. We had multiple, it was not connected. Recruitment was separate. performance was separate, compensation was separate, engagement was separate. So one system was not talking to each other. As I speak to a lot of industry folks, and I've, in the last couple of years spoken at this topic at length, I do realize that in fact in your organizations also, it would have been a broken architecture. You would have multiple systems not talking to each other, missing integration, data not flowing. So similarly, we had a similar problem statement that you had multiple systems, but if you would want to know one single data point, you'll have to look at multiple data points, Excel sheets. In fact, that's the other reality. And whether it's, for example, universities or it is organizations, you would have similar problems. So think about it that in your organization, you would be facing this reality, what is called a broken tech architecture. So what we did is we went and took a bold step that we would have one single platform for the HR. We partnered with PeopleStrong, and from the hire till the exit, we have a single platform for the entire life cycle of the employee. What it means is that we have a very clear window. Now, this is very important when you look from an AI architecture point of view. You need a very strong data foundation, process workflows, platform architecture. Because if we speak about AI, if we speak about machine learning, if we speak about agentic, it can't happen unless you do not have a clean, robust underlying architecture. So in our case, happy to say that from the start of the cycle, so janam se leke mrityu tak, jaise kehte, from recruitment to the attrition or exit of the employee, everything is on one single unified seamless experience. Of course, we have partnered with many agencies, like we have Make My Trip for our trips, we have Zaggle for our rewards, we have Alive Health. So we partnered with many interesting vendors. The key part was that we have integrated it with PeopleStrong. That is the key underlying, because you can have multiple platforms, but if it is not integrated, so again you go back to the problem of the broken architecture. So again, reflecting, if you look at the entire AI architecture, so you can introduce AI, but unless it is interwoven and you have an underlying robust architecture, which is integrated with your support services. For example, as I said, if you were to travel your plan, let's say you want to go from here to Delhi, and you have to raise a travel plan. So everything is digitized. There is no single paper. So it is 100% seamless, unified, paperless experience that we give. There are a lot of industry firsts which we did. I'll not get into a lot of detail, but what I would do is I would kind of flow to the next part, which is the success. So today it is one of the most, so what I was talking about the broken architecture, now it is an unified. We have done a lot of industry firsts as well. So for example, as I said, our payroll is zero touch. There is no manual intervention for your payroll. So it is flowing from the system. So there is no manually Excel sheets. So all Excel sheets are banned in my HR platform. There's a lot of change management which we did, and this is also important for AI. We have good buy-in from the leadership team. For example, for recruitment, so all the hiring goes through the recruitment system itself. And for that to happen, you also need to bring forward your leaders and your change agents. So they are the advocate and supporters of the platform. And of course, we have ensured that it is mandatory to follow the process. So a lot of companies introduce HR tech, but then there is also that there's also a parallel process running in the Excel. And if you think about your organizations, you would have hybrid processes. Something is on platform and something is still on the paper, going to the finance department, taking 10 signatures, right? So what we have also done is we have simplified the processes. And it was not just simple paper, say, digital platform, but it was underlying massive simplification. So for instance, we used to have punch in and punch out. which is every morning person would come and punch in and punch out. What we have done is we have now moved to the app. So through PeopleStrong app, you can have something called a geotagging. So any place that you know, so you can just punch in from that and you know where the employee is. And we have done something called a single punch. So again, the underlying assumption is that we have simplified the processes and not just made it from paper to paperless, but actually recasted the entire process. So if you look at the AI framework, and these are my own thoughts, but as I had said, that past is a reflection of future. So if you have an AI framework, what happens is it becomes a good to have initiative. That is the challenge. As custodians of people processes in your function or in your organizations, if you are implementing AI, it has to be the central. So for example, in my case, the HR platform that we had, it was the central to our strategy, core to what we were doing. It was not yet another initiative among the 20 odd initiatives that is being taken. Often I hear, in many organizations, people say, oh, we are also implementing AI, by the way. But that is up to an extent of, let's say, giving ChatGPT licenses, right? That is not AI. As Sir rightly said, there are multiple facets, like there's agentic AI which is coming. There are multiple use cases. Which brings me to the second part, that introducing AI, but you also need to think about what is the right operating model, what are the right rebuilding of skills, upskills, what is the right ways of working. So for example, in my case, the HR platform also had re-skilling of my recruiters into becoming HR partners. The operating model of HR had to change. And that is the new ways of working that we had bought. So in your context, think about it is, what is your AI operating model? Is there a AI committee forum? Is there a person who is responsible for driving AI? Should it be top-down? Should it be more of a bottom-up emergent? So those are very key questions, that how do you want to drive AI in your organizations? Third, and as I said, a lot of organizations are far away from implementing AI. And why I'm making this bold statement is that you need investments into what is called the underlying foundation. So unless you have very robust data platform, unified experience, so AI, machine learning, Gen AI, so all those are facets which builds upon a very strong database. But if the current processes are in Excel, if it is pen and paper, then you would find it very difficult. Of course, there are ways to overcome that, but you will have to simplify these, which are more of your internal challenges rather than external. And finally, instead of going all over the place, you should look at certain specific use cases of AI, in what aspects that AI can make, rather than having a very broad brush of AI. So pick some specific areas where you think AI can make, do those experiments, and then see the results. About last year, what we had done is we had come up with a series of articles on use cases of AI. So this is there in my LinkedIn. So we also spoke to a lot of talent acquisition, recruitment leaders. We spoke to a lot of HR leaders. We had a lot of use cases. I can tell you some interesting ones. So when you look at recruitment, again, it's a big space. So what you now have is, there are organizations who can, for example, you give a job description and they can do, they have crawlers, and they can go and look at recruitment CV platforms. And if those CV platforms are allowing them, so you can crawl the database and see which are the CVs which are matching the job description. Again, one set of platform is that you can have interviews. So they are using what is called psycholinguistics. So what you say, for example, they will have 5 or 6 questions. Think about a challenge that you have overcome. And once the person answers, what he answers, the nature and the content of the answer is, then in the backend, they create what is called a psychoprofile or psychometric profile of the person. So you don't need to have a psychometric, but in the backend, you will have the person's personality database coming up. So what it means is that if you have mass hiring, let's say 1,000 people in a feet to street or a call center, so you have thousands of vacancies and CVs. So today it's physically impossible for the recruiter to go through those, right? But with AI and with these technologies, you have cases which is now becoming live, and it is already being commercialized as we speak. So not just recruitment, this was just one example, but in onboarding, in performance management, in learning, there are several use cases of AI, Gen AI, agentic AI, which are coming up. So in our case also, we are partnering, as I said, with the platforms which we have, and we are now introducing. The key part was that since we already have a very good foundation in terms of the entire platform and the data architecture, so we have a step forward, or we are one step ahead compared to others in order to implement this AI. So that's the thought I would leave you with. If there are any questions or thoughts or comments, feedback, so happy to take that.
Hi everyone. My name is Shubham. I'm from Capgemini. I will just sit it. So you mentioned about something about CV crawling. About 4 or 5 years or 3 years back used to work very perfectly. But now, since there are a lot of YouTube videos and I myself implement, there is a thing called you give ChatGPT or any AI tool for that matter job description and your CV, and it gives you your updated CV. So it's a brand new CV. So now when we are using a CV crawler like this, all of the resumes are getting 5 out of 5 rating. So it's becoming, very difficult to understand which CV was actually good. So because the
Sure.
other person is also learning. The other thing that we tried.
So what's your specific question?
Yeah, I'm just coming to that. Just give me 1 second. So the question is, how do we do this CV shortlisting now with using AI? Because all of the CVs itself are made with the AI. So
Sure.
is it something you guys are also facing the issue, and how you are tackling it?
Sure.
The other thing was solution which we also thought is give them some questionnaire and make them
Sure.
on the spot answering. But in that case also they are using AI to answer those questions, and some of the time it's getting so lengthy they have stop answering those questions. So
Fair.
how do
Okay,
you?
so there are multiple layers to the question, and let me answer. So the first you said is the use of AI and use of AI in creating the resumes. So think of it, Shubham, in this way, that you have only the first step. So let's say, assuming that the person is making a CV based on AI, now there are enough AI platforms which will tell you that it has come through AI, right? So that part is there. Having said that, there is no, so to say, issue if a person is making with AI. Let's take it step forward. As I was telling you the case, so imagine that you have generated your resume on AI, you have shortlisted this person. So IVRS, which is interactive voice response system, can call you. And there would be set of predetermined questions which would go. Now, if you say that, okay, even that can be manipulated, so there are video interviews, as I was saying. So for example, one of my classmates, he has come up with an entire video interview format in which the link goes to the person. There would be some questions which are already pre-fed. The answers that the person is giving, basis that, then they are pegged to a certain personality profile and certain functional competencies. I'll not get into very technicalities because it becomes too technical for this forum. But what it means is that through video interviews, you can do the shortlisting basis what the person is saying. Two aspects. What the person is saying is converted to text, and then that is used from a generative AI. Obviously, the current algorithms are not, and this is matter of time, to see the entire face and the video. So they can know that Shubham is giving the interview, but they will not be able to get into your emotional response. The current algorithms. But probably in 6 months, 1 year, those things also can be solved for. So yes, people can be using their resumes and they can be crawling and get a good score, but then there are multiple filters. And again, you have to be clear why you're using AI. So for example, I'm just giving, if you are taking a medical representative in pharma, there will be thousands of CVs and thousands of people applying. So from 1,000 to getting to 10 profiles, that's where you can use the AI. Because what is the alternate choice? You have a recruiter who would just scan through the as probably giving 10 seconds per resume. And you know, humans are suspect to bias, we can make mistakes. So 1,000 may say, even if the person is spending 10 seconds, is not doing justice, right? So in your case, AI would at least get you from 1,000 to 10. And those last 10 is when you can have a human interaction. So it is making you more efficient. Whether it's making you more effective is a question that you'll have to answer for yourself. But of course, nothing is perfect, right? It's an ever-learning curve.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for the question. Thank you.
Hi. Yeah, hi Sherin, how are you?
Hi, sir. Hi.
Yeah, hi. So Krupesh, my question is, how a balance can be struck in the use of AI for productivity gain versus potential job displacement?
It's a tough one, right? It's not an easy answer. See, what we have seen is, and if you recall, if you go back to several decades, and again, my personal opinion, you had always technology coming. So for example, sir was from bank, and my mother is a lifer with Bank of India. So there was always this apprehension that what will happen with AI, with technology, computers being introduced, right? But if you look after 30 years, you had bank officers who were reskilled, they were trained, and in fact, she became what is called a computer-aided specialist, if I remember. She was earlier regular staff. So that transition happened, and of course, that reskilling happened. I would say two things. From a people front, we as HR have to focus on two kinds of fungibility. One is skill fungibility, and the second is locational / industry fungibility. People who have done the same role over the years and are refusing to upskill, reskill themselves, they would be at a challenge of potential job loss because mundane activities would get outsourced. The second part I would say is, if you look at the entire productivity gamut, lot of areas where AI is now coming is automating a very mundane and routine activity. The creativity and the higher order logic is still left with the human to solve. So productivity wise, AI is making it actually more efficient, right? There is nothing wrong about it. What most of the experts, and look, I am not an AI expert, but what most of the experts say is that it will get augmented. So it's not that the AI will replace us, but it gets augmented or complemented in your regular work. So my take is, from a people side, go for reskilling, upskilling in a massive way, and also fungibility in terms of industries, in terms of locations and so forth. At least the skilling part is easier. And the second is the initial phase of productivity that you see is more in efficiency and routine activities. And maybe few years down the line, it can become into more higher order. So if it is having still with routine, then it is actually complementing and not replacing you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sure. Okay.
Thank you so much, Shivin. Firstly, let's give him a big round of applause. What an excellent presentation it has been. Some core points discussed by Shivin. Shivin, of course, towards the end of your presentation, we thought it's important that we call upon Mr. Pavan Kabra, who's the Senior Director Growth of one of our partner companies right now, Finarcane, who's sponsored it, and of course, Dr. Narendra, who's the advisor at NCube. Let's give all of them a big, big round of applause as we welcome them, and maybe request Mr. Kabra to give the book. After all, the best gift is the book of knowledge. So, so as the conversation continues, thank you so much, Shivin, for joining.